Hi there, this is Rishabh, and I'm back with second season of Behind the Codes. So, first season was very interesting, and before I actually introduce my guest for today, I really want to thank everybody who participated in the first season, whether as let's say a participant or whether as a viewer. So thanks a lot for getting us views in four digits, and thanks for getting us close to 50 subscribers. Which was really great. It was a good experiment, something which started as an experiment, like the digital equivalent of the water cooler conversations, but it has converted into something bigger than just that. And this is what brings us to today, where I am all set with the first overseas version of Behind the Codes. So yes, that's another good news that our guest for today is Roshni Chalani from the United States. And apart from all the achievements she has, like she has worked with some of the top companies in the world, but apart from all those achievements, what really sets her apart is her passion for sharing knowledge around job hunting, building profile on LinkedIn, or building a great resume. So I'm very much hopeful that from today's session, we are going to extract a lot of valuable information. A lot is there to learn from, Roshni's experience. So without wasting any further time, let's start season two of Behind the Codes. Hey Roshni, how are you?
Hi Rishabh, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, Roshni. Thanks a lot for joining us today. So,
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure.
so most of the times, Roshni, we start these sessions with like, how has been your day so far? But
Mhm.
we know that it's still morning for you, so we have changed that question a bit. So for you, the question is like, what are some of the things which you do in the morning to make your day better?
That is a very good question. And so for someone like me, I usually don't wake up being feeling happy or inspired. I wake up with a lot of heavy feelings or whatever judgment or stuff like that is going on in my life. I wake up with all that loaded in my head. So I think for the first 1.5 or 2 hours, I have my breakfast and then I try to read. So that to me, and read any spiritual book, could be any self-help book, or could be any positive mindset book, or even like when I'm making my breakfast, I try to listen to a podcast, or even now, like when I woke up today, I was like making my breakfast and listening to something that I wanted to. So I think that helps me to put myself in the positive perspective. And then after, like, it takes me 2 hours for my system to wake up and get to a positive mindset. So like it's like people go for like a physical workout. I need to do like a mental workout before kind of like interacting with anyone, and then I literally hit the gym. So it takes me like 1 hour to work out. So it's kind of like a 3 hour routine before I do anything else. So that's what I do. And most of the times, like, I don't know, I feel like you need to calibrate your instrument, like the way we calibrate a musical instrument before we use it. So it's kind of like you calibrate your mind, body, and soul. So I try to incorporate all these things. I need to have intellectual stimulation, physical stimulation in terms of like exercising, and mental stimulations in terms of like reading or something. So that's what I try to do.
That's a very honest answer. I mean, very honest answer. So yeah,
Yeah,
let's move to the next one. So
sure.
please tell us about your journey, like how exactly your journey started, your inspirations, and again, like how you ended up being where you are today.
Yeah, that is a very like interesting question, and also it goes back to 2014, right? Because that's the time I came to do masters here in States. I think the way it started was I was always the kind of, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, if any viewers is listening and they want to come for here for masters and they're clueless, I get you. That's where I was, and I think that's where 99% people are. So like, that's where like I felt like I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I always knew what kind of woman I wanted to be. So I always knew what kind of person I want, or I want to be the kind of person who can make her own choices. And that is a right of mine, and I didn't want anyone to take away. And I just wanted to kind of expand on that. So I come from a conservative family. Like, girls are married at the age of 21, 22. So, once I was finishing my bachelor's, I knew this is what's going to happen to me if I don't make a choice at this moment. And I was preparing for CAT. I was going to like, MBA tuition classes, all that stuff that we do. So I was doing that, but then I realized, like, if I am in India, my parents will get me married, so I need to have, like, literally be out of their reach. So that, it's kind of like you can put your phone on an airplane mode. So I just wanted to be in an airplane mode for them, so that they don't do anything. And that's what was my inspiration. Firstly, that, I just really wanted to have a choice. I wanted to make a better career for myself. And so the first thing I did was just to see what I can, like, I was going towards an MBA, but I was like, okay, let me see if I can go for masters in electrical engineering. And so I came over here, and that's the reason I backed it up with 3 different internships, like at Intel, Apple, and then, now I'm at Qualcomm. So I did all of that because I was like, if I have to go back to India, I don't have to go back to my parents. So that was my major motivation. But along the line, it changed me as a person in terms of, like, the choices that I have made. I have a house here in California now. So, like, just in the span of like 6-7 years, if you're able to make that progress, it really, really changes you and makes you feel like, oh yeah, like, it was good that I made all those decisions. So that's the journey to it, I would say.
I would say that's quite like inspiring for maybe all the viewers, because the core message which comes out of it is like making your choices, and
Yeah.
that is something, I would say, the core fundamental skill to being a human. I mean, there are a lot out there who are confused. Like, I meet a lot of people, then sometimes I am myself in that state. So in that sense, I think it was a fantastic journey so far. So, given that you have had multiple internships, you have worked in multiple companies. So, like, what do you think, like, working for startups versus working for some company which is, let's say, well known? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, each company, like even a big company, like, let's say, for example, when I worked at Apple, each team there was a startup. Because the way they were working was that they're very, like, they're all integrated, they all come up together, but at the same time, all of these people are small startups, because every director, every, person over there who's a manager has his own culture laid out in the team, right? So working in a start, like, I would say, that's where I had some experience, I would say, where I felt like this is kind of like a startup culture. And now where I feel like when I'm working here at Qualcomm, it's different. It's definitely a full big, industry. So the difference between a startup and this thing, like, for example, something that is big, I feel, is the contribution firstly that you make. You can make a huge impact when you are at a startup, because a lot of you are juggling between a lot of hats, and you're making a lot of decisions, right? Whereas when you are in like a big firm, you're given a part, like you're a cog in a big staircase, right? Like, you're just like, one part that you're going to be handling. So that's what I felt like is the difference. But it totally goes on what you want from your life. Like, if you want, like, okay, I do want to kind of, like, have, like, play different roles, and see, hands on what's happening from the beginning in a particular project, then you can kind of go towards a startup. But if you are like, I do want to get a bigger level picture of, like, how things function and much more smoother way, right? That's where, you're like, okay, I want to go towards an industry. And both can make you learn. I think learning is something that is very much in your hand anywhere. So you shouldn't, like, it's not dependent on here or here. So that's what I feel is the difference between, like, a startup or an industry. What are your thoughts on it? I'm curious about that.
So working in a startup versus working in a bigger organization, I think I share some thoughts which are very similar to yours. Like, working at a startup, you get to play a lot of different roles, which may not be the case when you're working for an organization. Like, I started my own career as a startup founder. So there, I know that I had to play a lot of different roles. And then when I switched to a job later on in my life, I was actually confined to something. Let's say it could be, I mean, one technical area, or maybe one
Exactly.
project for a few months, kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
startup life is very different life, but you learn a lot of things.
Exactly, yeah. And like it comes to, like I want to focus on this too, so that some viewers can get bigger perspective over here. So when you are beginning your career, you're all about your career, you're all about like, I want to make this the best and I want to give my most time to this and all that stuff. But you will come towards a certain stage in your life where you will start seeing life much more holistically. You will start kind of like, not relying yourself worth only on your career. You will have different like hobbies, and you'll have different like, relationships and other areas of your life that you would want to focus on. And that's where, you would be like, okay, I can only give this much of time or this much of thing towards this. Especially I feel like, as Asian kids, like especially Indian kids, we keep a lot of our self-worth on our jobs or on our career or what we are doing professionally, right? But somebody might not be professionally thriving, but at the same time personally thriving, like in their self growth, in their personal, like, doesn't even mean like, they have a relationship. It just basically means like in their personal growth and journey. So I want people to keep that in mind also when they are looking for a startup culture, or like an industry culture. You have to know that the commitment on a startup culture is going to be much more. It can affect a lot of other areas of your life. So like you have to be conscious that, okay, I'm willing to do that. So
Cool. Okay, so so Roshni, like the stage where you are today, like most people may see you as a success, right? But we all know that, I mean, success, what seems success to others may seem a huge journey, a long journey to you, a long journey full of challenges, right? No, so what I want you to answer next is like, what are some of the toughest challenges which you have faced, like across, I mean, along this journey?
yeah, like I think that's a very good question that you asked in terms of like challenge. And I have a very good relationship with the word challenge, because any time I'm seeing like, oh, this is a problem in my life, I really try to replace that with challenge. Okay, this is a challenge in my life. And so I try to really like, if anybody is struggling with anything, really try to change that thing from a problem to a challenge. And that really helps you to be like, okay, this is a challenge, so I'm being challenged over here. How can I get resourceful or skillful about that? Coming back to your question, right? There were a lot of challenges, because once you leave your hometown, or your parents or your family, your comfort zone. I was living in India for like 21 years, and I was with my parents, completely protected. If I want to buy a pen, I just have to tell my dad. I didn't even used to step out. So to me, everything was like given to my hand. And I used to be, I'm a very introvert kind. I might look as an extrovert, but I'm very introvert kind. So I didn't even used to like to go out of the home. So I had everything to my availability. So after coming over here, you have to figure out everything, right? You have to figure out where you're going to live, what you're going to do, who you're going to be friends with. And there are going to be moments where you really feel like, okay, I don't have any family or any support over here. And that's the time you have to get really emotionally resourceful. And you have to develop that resilience. So I think that was one challenge, I would say. But the most difficult thing for me was to have this ability to, which is still a learning, have this ability to learn about people. You see, like whom to trust, whom not to trust, who is like who has your best interest in heart, or who doesn't have your best interest in heart. Who you can ask for help, or who you cannot ask for help. So it's like, when you come into an unknown place, I don't know if you've ever felt like, you easily give trust to people, but at the beginning, but at the same time, when you things can happen, and then you're like, oh, I should have known this, or I should have kind of, got this. Because when you're back here with your parents, I feel like you were always like, you can trust all the people around you. But when you come outside, I think that to me was the biggest challenge, because I was never taught how to read people. I was never taught to how to kind of like get to know who, personality, not even like somebody's a bad person, different personalities, right? So I was not exposed to these many different ethnicities or cultures or stuff like that. So somebody could be too sensitive. So how do you communicate with that? You have to really have your communication to the level of the sensitivity to the of the other person, right?
Yeah.
So to me, that was like a challenge. It was like, I'm saying this, but the other person is not understanding. Then, like, I would say putting it together would be like, reading people and understanding how to communicate with them. So that to me was a big, big challenge. So
I think that's something very interesting, and maybe not today, but sometime after this session, I would like to get some tips from you on how you actually did manage in this area. Because I myself
sure.
think that reading people is something which I may struggle with at certain times. So
Yeah.
that was a wonderful answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome.
Okay.
And yeah, just adding to that, like I just wanted to say that um like you might think the other person is wrong, but there's so much like once you understand their perspective, once you be compassionate, once you remove the judgment, you just be like, oh my God, that person has a really good perspective and it's just different. Like it's not wrong or right. So
Cool.
yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. So now coming to one of your favorite topics, like I think I should probably tell my viewers also that how exactly I got in touch with Roshni. So it was one of Roshni's sessions which I got to attend, and she's very very passionate about sharing her knowledge, which I believe already we can see that. So this question is around one of like Roshni's passion, which is helping others with the job hunting. So Roshni, my next question is, how should one approach job hunting? I mean, one of the biggest challenges out there today.
Yeah, I think that's a very relevant and contemporary question. I feel because the way you said, a lot of people are into this their job hunting thing. One word would be to propel their curiosity, like in terms of and that could be and you can apply this to any area of your life. For example, let's say you're looking for a job. Instead of thinking that, oh shit, I have to accomplish this task of looking for a job, you could kind of see like, who can I talk to, and what do I get to learn from them, and what other skill sets do I need to add to my plate, so that I can kind of be much more equipped in the job that I want to get, right? So to me, it was always about like it is always about propelling my curiosity, learning about different things, and having fun along the way. So those three things, if you do, and propelling your curiosity means do talking to people and getting out of your comfort zone. If you are an introvert, then give yourself the opportunity to be able to talk to people. And let's say you cannot talk to them one on one, right? Like just have a call. That's easier for an introvert than having like really face to face conversation with them. So that would be my answer. Like, the approach it remove like people the glasses that people wear when they're looking for a job hunt is like they're stressed out, they're like really thinking like, they have a very controlling energy to it, right? They are like, it's kind of like you are stuck with that one possibility that I need to get a job and this is how I'm going to get a job, like by applying, right? But I want you to like be open minded about it. And we have this saying in, like, I think in Gita, that कर्म किए जा फल की इच्छा ना करे इंसान, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, just put that in perspective, like literally do your groundwork. You're gonna get a lot of emotions and all that stuff, but do your groundwork, find ways to have fun during this time. And that's the lens. You should wear that lens of like, how can I have fun, how can I do it with other people who have already gotten the job, right? Or with my friends, or how can I seek help in this? So all that will change the way you look at job search. So that's my advice on that.
That's a very interesting answer. I mean, it was so thoughtful, so informative. Good about listening to that answer. Like some of it came to me as if I'm reading some of the inspiring books which I really like. Some of the like points, they were very resonating with those books. Interesting.
You have to tell me the books later.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So coming to the next point, like which is very related to this, like how to make your LinkedIn profile stand out, given that there are millions of users and HRs are searching for them. So how exactly to ensure that okay, your profile maybe may come to somebody's search query?
I think, yeah, that's a very like profound question. Very simple answer to it. Number one is research that, what are the keywords that are pertinent to your job, right? Let's say you have a designation. I'm looking, let's say, for an RF engineer, right? What are the keywords, let's say, that people who have the job have it, right? And how you can find the keywords very easily. Do the job search on LinkedIn, and you would see that, there is a keyword section as well. Like, okay, these are the keywords that people are looking for, that is given high weightage to, and make sure that you have all that in your profile, so that when the HR is looking for a profile, your profile, because it's keyword dense, can kind of like rise higher as compared to other people. That's number one thing. And start looking at LinkedIn. I would just kind of try to give an example over here so that people get a bigger perspective of this, because they are really just looking for, like, what you said, like, how do we stand out on LinkedIn, right? Instead of like, like your resume was initially, let's say 20, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, even like I would say like 7 years ago when I started, my job search journey, we had to go to everyone with our resume. We had to go to everyone with our LinkedIn profile, right? Nobody was posting. Posting has become like the norm only in the last 3-4 years. Trust me, it was not the same before. So now people can post, right, for a job, right? Like they're looking for a job and they can post, and people are their connections are more than happy to kind of chime in so that they can get a better reach and all that stuff. So just like, if I want someone who's looking for a job, I want you to close your eyes and say, imagine this. Like initially you were in an auditorium, and let's say you had a lot of HRs around you, and there were a lot of candidates as well. You had to go to each of these HRs to give your resume, which is what happens in a career expo, right? You had to go to each of these HRs. Now you are being given a stadium, right? You're being given a platform, I would say, auditorium, and you can actually stand on the platform and take the mic and talk about your skills, talk about everything pertaining to what you're doing, not just when you want a job, but in the process of just even you're doing your masters. So, and once you have that mic and everybody has your attention, even the people who are looking for the job and also the people who are ready to give the job, right? Look at LinkedIn like that. When you post something, you're really going out to people and like really having that loudspeaker, right? That, hey, I'm out there and I'm looking for a job, right? So I think that is the best way to stand out. Like, people underutilize that, I feel, and so really start using that. Like that's the best thing, right? Like initially, if I had to reach to like 2,000 people, I have to message them. There's no other way. Now I can just do that in one post. I think, how amazing is that? So that's what I would say.
Very nice. I mean, the auditorium example is very creative, very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so okay, now the next question you have to actually answer in just one word, and maybe then you can go about talking about like why exactly you chose it one word. So, how to get a reply on LinkedIn, and what would be the one word answer to that?
Research.
Okay.
Research about the person. Okay. That's just a one word response, but just adding a little bit to it would be, let's say if I want to get a response from someone these days that I want to reach out to, and and she did respond to me, but the way she did was because she saw the amount of research I did. And what research I did was, I went to her podcast, saw, when did she start her podcast, when did she start posting on her other websites and all that stuff. And then I was like, hey, I saw that in just about this much span, you have been able to reach till here. It's really inspiring. And, it takes research to do that. So I would say research about the other person and then ask them a very deep question. If they had a gap year, how did they change from one career to the other career? Or what was their inspiration behind choosing that particular career? Are they happy where they are? All that stuff are, I think, like important, rather than just being like, hey, can you refer me? Like, it's kind of like, I think it's kind of like, if somebody comes to my home and to sell something and be like, hey, can you please buy this? I'm gonna be like, no, right? I don't even know you. But if that person focuses on, understanding what my needs are and then says like, this product fits those needs, I'll be like, yeah, sure, this sounds good. So it's kind of like that, I felt. So I'm sorry, it was a one word, but I went a little far.
But yeah, I mean, you supported it very nicely, which is great. Coming to the next question, now let's say you are on the other side of the table, where let's say Roshni is the one who's hiring somebody. So what will be the top 2 to 3 qualities which you will look for in that potential hire?
Proactiveness.
Okay.
I feel like how proactive the other person is.
Mhm.
Resourceful. Like you're not going to be given with everything that you want, right? You have to find ways to get it. So I feel like how resourceful you are, which comes under the wing of proactiveness. And like, of course, how dedicated, since how diligent you are. I think those are the three things that, and I had an intern under me, so I saw that, if this person has all of these qualities or not. The problems in the industry are not always defined. They're not always straightforward. So we want someone who is not going to be a problem to the problem, right? We want someone who's going to be a solution to the problem, right? And so, like, if I like it just like if somebody is in the job search phase and they're thinking about all this, let's say they wanted to hire someone for their home for cleaning or all that stuff, right? And what if they have to train them on how to clean everything? Like, that other person doesn't know anything. Then you're going to be like, this is a liability, right? I want an asset. Like, I give this person the task, I give this money to this person, and she or he takes care of all that stuff. So I think that's one thing, like how proactive you are, how resourceful you could get, and like diligent. Definitely, I think all the soft skills are really important in terms of, like, when you're looking for who you should hire, I feel. So
Awesome. So the top 3 qualities, I believe all the viewers have now the idea about what should be the top 2 to 3 qualities. Awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so coming to the next point, what are some of your hobbies, like outside of work, which you believe have really helped you to excel in your career?
In my career.
Yeah, I mean, but your hobbies outside of your work, but they have somehow,
Yeah.
like maybe subconsciously, helped you to
Okay.
excel in your career. Yeah.
I think everything integrates together. Anything that you invest yourself in as a person anywhere outside even of work, it always comes back to what you're doing, right? The way you do anything is the way you do everything. So I feel like, it affects all of it. So I would say firstly is reading, because I love to read. So I can't have a day without reading. Like, I have books all over my bed or even in my couch or stuff like that. So like that to me, it has really helped me. Different kinds of reading, like reading spiritual books, could be fiction, non-fiction, or let's say if I have a problem in my life, I really see, like, which book can I read for it, because that just gets to me. Like, any problem, let's say if I'm going through a breakup, which is the best breakup book to read? So that's where I kind of go. If I have a very difficult conversation that I have to go through, then there was this book with crucial conversations, how to have like tough conversations or something. So I was like, okay, let me read that book and understand the perspective to it, right? So, like, first is reading, which has kind of helped me. Second, I feel like I'm a good speaker. So I feel like I try to, like, augment that quality of mine, which I didn't know that I was a good speaker. And that's where I want to give the empowerment to people who are, let's say, introverts, and they have not given themselves the opportunities to expose themselves to such things. Like, give yourself a chance. You might never know how good you are at it. And so for me, like, being able to speak well, I kind of invested in all, like, how can I learn? I was not always this fluent speaker. I was not even from an English medium school. So I transferred from a Gujarati medium school to an English medium school in like third or fourth grade. And that to me was like, I don't know, I was failing till seventh grade. So if somebody wants to know this, like, I was like a mess, like, till seventh grade. Then after that, eighth grade, I started picking up. But I'm trying to say that like, speaking helped me to, and augmenting that skill helped me to kind of have, like, help me in my career as well. um Hosting, I love hosting. I'm just trying to answer all the hobbies outside of my work
Got
that
it.
have helped me in my career. Whenever I host, right, I meet different kinds of people, and you will not believe, they give me different career perspectives. They give me different kinds of inspiration, different kinds of knowledge and information that I did not have before. And that helps you in your career. Like, you have no idea how much that can help you. You're looking for a job and you've already invested in having a good friendship with someone or relationship with someone. It just helps, right? So, like, I think those are the things that have really helped me, like, outside of work.
Great.
So yeah.
Now, as you mentioned that you read a lot, So if you have to, let's say, recommend maybe 2 to 3 books to our audience, what would be those names, and what would be the reasons for like those selections of yours?
That is such a good question, and it's a very intimate question because I don't like to share my books. I mean, it's a funny thing. It's like if you will get to see my books only if you're very special, but it's okay. Okay, I'm just gonna go and say first is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. If somebody is just starting to read, right? I feel like, and you want to kind of just improve yourself. I think that book, in a nutshell, has to offer. If you just read the, I think, first 2 3 habits also, and you just implement that, it can change you as a person. I read that book in 2015, and I keep revisiting that book, and it just like it has a lot of things that people can kind of like understand. So all those habits, if you try to inculcate in your life. So first is that. Second is, let's get towards like a much more spiritual approach to life. So I have this book by this person, Om Swami.
Okay.
That is, I don't know if you guys know. Very few people know about him, but he's a great writer. He simplifies things to a level that um anything you're going through, job search, hard time, just read that book and you will be like, okay, I have so much better perspective. So it's his book is Mindful to Mindful. He has a lot of other books as well. He was actually a tech engineer like us. He was in Australia, he was a millionaire, and then he left all of that stuff to become like a monk, and then now he's spreading his message. So that to me was the way I like to read a book is how relevant the author's story is to me, and how relevant he can make it for us, right? Kind of how much I can relate to it. So he can like touch the chords of people in that kind of way. So I think that would be the second book, I would say, like those two books that people should read, definitely.
And now, like I would say, the interesting news here is that Roshni is also going to become an author. She's also writing a book, and so it will be great, Roshni, that if you can invest some time talking about what exactly you're writing about, and like maybe whatsoever information you would like to share with us regarding your new book.
Yes, it's a project that I've just started. It's a very, very new baby, I would say. So it's kind of like really recent, but it's going to have everything from on the topic of how to get a job, how to use LinkedIn, how to kind of, focus on developing a relationship, and also progress your career, right? Like what are the most important things? But mainly it's going to be about like how to, stage yourself on LinkedIn to get a job. So that's where I'm trying to help the students and help anyone who wants to use that. So the book is going to be about all of that, and what I can promise is it's going to be the best book that you have read on LinkedIn, because I have invested a lot of time researching on like I am someone who loves to use LinkedIn, so I've invested a lot of time using it and helping students to get a job. If you see my recommendations, there are like about 50 recommendations because I've helped those many students. So I've really just tried to put all my knowledge and encapsulate that in a book, and if you read that and if you implement it, I'm 100% sure you'll get a job, like I guarantee. So that's where this book is about.
So plus all the knowledge and all the experiences which Roshni had, I'm sure that some reflection of those experiences is definitely going to be there in that book. So I'm definitely
Yes.
going to get that book, and I would personally recommend it to all the viewers of this specific video. Awesome. So
Thank you.
moving to the next one. Okay, so like this question is actually going to be an intimate one, because here we're going to ask you about a story from your personal life which
Hmm.
really helped you when you were transforming from, like, let's say, uh, you in 2014 to you in 2020.
Mm-hmm. So I like what is exactly that you're looking for? Like something that a very personal story that
Yeah, it
transformed
actually
me.
helped you to transform into a professional you are today. So, like, it could be a
Nice.
story of determination, a story of, let's say, some hardship which you had to go through, which you would like to share with us.
I see. Okay. I'm still trying to understand the scope of the question. Like, you're trying to say like what was one thing that kind of shaped my career, or is that what you're trying to
Uh,
say, or a personal
Maybe
story
some
that I would like?
story, as in, so for example, let's say wherein you had to face some kind of a hardship, but later on in your career, you found that like the challenges which you had during that specific hardship, they actually made you into somebody Who was needed for that
That's
specific profession?
that is a very good question, and I just had that insight yesterday when I was trying to do something, and I was like, oh, this, because I saw somebody else struggling with that, and I was like, why do I not have it? I was like, oh no, I had it,
Yeah.
like, but I don't have it anymore. So that's when I was like, okay, now I understand what you're saying. I would say, like when you join the industry, the transition from us being a student to being in the industry is one of the most difficult things, actually, like that we will face, in our like 20s, right? So to me and to a lot of students I knew, like, okay, transitioning from like that student mindset where you can do anything possible, blah blah blah, all that stuff, to like very highly invigorated, right? All it's like a really high energy. And then once you transfer into an industry, when the reality hits you, you're like, oh, so this is how it is, and all of that stuff. And I think people tend to get very emotional during that time. Like I have had, times when I was kind of like crying in front of my manager or my mentor about something, and then like they were trying to make me understand their perspective, and I was like, I'm also right on my perspective, but I was really like really hurt, by all that stuff. Like so, but now when somebody gives me a feedback, I am like very logical about it, right? So what I'm trying to say is that, let's say, go back to your maybe the beginning of your career, when somebody gave you a feedback, you took it personally. You took it kind of. I think also this happens with us as Indian kids, because we are so competitive in nature. We take a lot of things to ourselves, like, how did he tell me that I'm not, time, I cannot efficiently manage my time, or I cannot do this, all that stuff. And now when somebody gives me this, I'm like, like when somebody gives you a feedback, you could take it personally and feel bad about it and not work on it, or work on it resentfully. Or when somebody gives you feedback, you could be like looking at the bigger picture of the business and be like, okay, this is totally business. He doesn't wake up to make me feel bad, right? He
Correct.
doesn't wake up and say, I'm gonna make Rishabh's life worse today. So all that stuff, right? So the main part that I was trying to tell you was, like, in the beginning I was kind of like a little like, I used to take things personally. I used to, when somebody tells me something, I used to feel bad. And now when somebody tells me, I was like, okay, I'll think about it, I'll work on it, let's see. So and I try to work on it genuinely also, but it doesn't affect me at all. Like, there's no emotion to it. Like, okay, that's very logical. If he's telling me something, then it's kind of like a very logical thing. So I think that was one thing I felt like was like, okay, once you kind of get further in your career, your self-worth is totally, like, anything with that has the word self in it, it's all on you. So initially I was relying my worth on the validation of a lot of people, but now my worth is totally like, I know, like, I have the skill set, so I just really need to make some tweaks here and there. So that's what I would say.
I think that is something very relatable to a lot of people, maybe. So, yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, wonderful answer. Awesome. So, Roshni, I believe you are a mentor to a lot of people, but at the same time, you must be looking for some sources for your own learning. So, this question is about that only. Like, what are some of
Mhm.
the online resources which you use for your own learning?
Skillshare.
Okay, Skillshare.
I definitely use Skillshare. I use LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is free in a lot of corporate jobs, so make the most of it. I try to do one LinkedIn Learning thing at least once a week, actually. Like when I'm going to the gym, I'll just have it on and I'll be working out, like just be doing my cardio or whatever I want to do, and I'll just have that going on. So that is one. Those are two very good avenues that you could use, like any, personal development, or I would say professional development. And apart from that, anything that your company is offering for technical knowledge, just use it to the best, right? Like, just remember, like, like a lot of times people think in a corporate job that the way they think about this is that I'm working for someone, right? But the way I see it, like, you're still an entrepreneur of your own career inside a job, right? So use everything that your career your this job has to offer, like in terms of technical stuff. Like, make time for that, I would say. And apart from that, really talk to people, like call people up. Like, this is what I try to do even now. I try to call people up and ask them that, how to get the answer to this, or how to get the solution to this, or kind of like that, right? Like, or let's say, like, there are people who are in the director levels and they'll write something and I'll not understand it, and I'll just ping them, or I'll just call them that, like, hey, I didn't understand this, how does this fit into the big picture? And guess what, I just not learned about something new, but I also had visibility. So I think that's the best way to learn, because a lot of knowledge is not documented. I don't know if you feel like that. A lot of knowledge is insightful, a lot of knowledge is experiential, right? So you can only get that from the person. So that's what I try to do.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I would say that a lot of it was quite relatable to me as well. Especially this point when we get an email from a director and we have to go back to them to like get the context of what exactly it means. Quite relatable. Thank you for that answer. Okay, awesome. So Roshni, like you answered all these questions like very nicely. I would say this was one of the most informative sessions which I have done so far in Behind the Quotes. Coming to the last point, like if you have to give a message to the audience, like what would that message be? Like something which I may not have covered, or maybe something which you yourself want to share with the audience. So it's like the mic is yours.
Oh, I see. Okay. I think the message that I would like to give the audience, um, I will just try to, like, say this with and maybe end this with a philosophy of mine that I try to use, and I try to kind of, it has helped me a lot in a lot of ways. There are two things about it. Number one is that, when we play a card of, like, deck of cards, right? Like, we have a lot of cards and we're playing different types of games with it. The person with the best card doesn't win all the time. The person who knows how to use their cards the best, whatever they have, you know to the best, is the one that wins, right? So, like, how skillfully you use the cards that you have right now, the situation that you're right here in right now, how skillfully you leverage that, you how skillfully you kind of empower yourself with different things. Like, like, I'm sure, like, there would be different kinds of audience over here, they would have different things going on, right? Just ask yourself this question, that what is good that is happening in my life, and how can I expand on it? What is something that I want to change, and how can I take steps towards it, right? So all those small things, if you can really just, like, see, these are the cards that I have, this is what I love, but this is what I don't want, how can I swap it with someone else, or how can I, like, do something with this card? So that, and then, once you skillfully do that, you will end up having the best cards, right? Like, you will end up, like, having, like, okay, now I'm actually winning this game, right? So once you steer your life to what life wants from you, you start getting what you want from life. So that's what I feel like is one, like, really important message to kind of, like, have people, have that positive perspective is everything. Perspective, how you have that, what perspective you're living your life with, is I think everything. And I think, like, the second is, like, what you focus on, like, it's kind of like energy flows where attention goes, right? So what you focus on is where you're gonna get most of your, like, like, expansion in life from, right? Your center in life, what is the center in life? So like, let's say if there is a puzzle and there are a lot of things and one part is not working and a lot of things are working, most of us will just focus on that one part that is not working. That's how our mind works, right? But you have to see the bigger puzzle, like, no, my parents are healthy, my friends are happy, I'm having food to eat, I have a roof to sleep on, and, like, I have something like that I like, which is a hobby or something like that. So I think that is the other part to it, like, really see the bigger picture, have a good perspective to life. So that's what I would like to say to people, if they're looking for a job, if they're looking for whatever that they want in their life, like, really have a positive perspective to it. So
Like, I personally feel very inspired after the session. I mean, I feel more positive as if as if
thank
just read
you.
like 10, 20 books in maybe 30, 35 odd minutes. So, like, thanks a lot, Roshni, for all, like, for this wonderful session. Thanks a lot for coming here. And
I am so happy, like, Rishabh, that you call me, because as much as this helps you, it helps me to be a better person. And I learned so much by your questions. They were really, really, like, nice questions. So I really appreciate that you called me here.